They buried him with tears, prayers, and sand. And 5 years later, he was seen alive. Not in Nigeria, but in a land where the dead are not supposed to walk. They said the grave doesn't release what it has taken, but someone came back wrong. This story happened in Umuokpara, a quiet town in Anambra State, Nigeria. And what you're about to hear will make you question whether death is truly the end. When Kenechukwu Okorie left his mother's compound that morning, nobody knew it was the last time they would see him alive. Or so they thought. Kene was a spare parts dealer, young, restless, ambitious. He lived on the road. Onitsha today, Lagos tomorrow, Aba next week. Money moved through his hands like blood through veins. He believed the road was his destiny. That morning, his mother stood at the doorway, wrapper tied tight, eyes heavy with worry. "Road no day forgive," she warned him. "Call me once you reach Lagos." Keen laughed, slung his bag over his shoulder, and promised. He never called. The commercial bus he boarded never reached Lagos. Somewhere between Ore and Benin, rain fell like judgment. Trailers skidded, horns screamed. The driver sped like death itself was chasing him. Then metal met metal, fire, screams, silence. By the time help arrived, bodies were scattered like broken dolls. Among them was Keening, face intact, eyes closed, chest still. They said he died instantly. His body was returned to Umuokpara wrapped in white cloth. His mother collapsed when she saw him. Men dug the grave. Women wailed until their voices cracked. They buried him. They mourned him. They locked his shop. Life moved on, or so everyone believed. 3 years later, in Mwanza, Tanzania, a man woke up on the floor of a marketplace. No memory, no documents, no past. Only scars he could not explain. He didn't know his name. He didn't know how he crossed borders. He only knew one thing: he wasn't supposed to be alive. People called him Baba Majeni, the stranger. He slept behind stalls, begged for food, survived on pity. Until Sophia Hassan noticed him. Sophia was a textile trader, sharp tongue, soft heart. She saw past the dirt and confusion. She gave him water, then food, then questions. He had no answers. So she gave him a name, Ismail, and Ismail stayed. Weeks turned to months. His memory never returned, but his luck changed. Money found him. Deals fell into his hands without effort. Traders trusted him instantly. Opportunities opened unnaturally fast. Within 2 years, Ismail owned warehouses. Within 3, he owned people. Sophia married him. They had children. And nobody asked where his wealth came from. But the nights were never quiet. Back in Umuokpara, Nkiru Okorie, Kene's younger sister, began dreaming. Not normal dreams. In her dreams, Keen stood by the mango tree behind their house. Same clothes he was buried in, same smile, but his shadow didn't touch the ground. "I didn't finish," he told her. "I'm coming back." She woke up screaming. Night after night, the dreams returned. Stronger, closer. She told her mother. They told her to pray. They told her to forget. But some things refused to stay buried. In Tanzania, Sophia started noticing things. Her husband never slept deeply. Mirrors cracked without reason. Visitors came only at night. Men with cold eyes who never touched food. Whenever the children cried, those men vanished. And one thing disturbed her the most. Ismail never bled, not once. The day their daughter asked, "Daddy, where do you work?" Everything began to crack. And when a spiritual elder at the school shook Ismail's hand, he felt no pulse, no warmth, only grave cold emptiness. That was when the truth became unavoidable. Some people don't survive accidents. They negotiate them. And this was only the beginning. If you think this story ends well, you haven't been listening. They say curiosity killed the cat, but in Sophia's case, curiosity was about to expose the dead. Sophia did not sleep that night. Ismail lay beside her, breathing steadily, eyes closed, calm like a man with no fears. But Sophia watched him the way one watches a stranger who knows too much about you. The elder's words at the school gate replayed in her head like a scratched record. Why not trail him one day? At first it sounded like a joke. Now it sounded like a warning. She turned slowly, studying her husband's face in the faint glow of the bedside lamp. Handsome, peaceful, untouched by worry, untouched by guilt. And yet, she could no longer remember the last time she saw him sweat. The opportunity came sooner than she expected. 2 weeks later, Ismail announced casually, as though he were discussing breakfast. "I'm traveling tonight." Sophia looked up sharply. "Where?" "Nigeria," he said smoothly. "A short trip." Her heart skipped. This was the same Nigeria he had never returned to. The same Nigeria he spoke of like a closed chapter. The same Nigeria that only existed on phone calls that never matched reality. She forced a smile. "When will you be back?" "Soon," he replied, already standing, already distant. That night, Sophia did something she had never done in her life. She lied. She told Ismail she was tired and would sleep early. She waited until he left the bedroom, until she heard the familiar sound of his shoes, the door closing softly, the engine of his car fading into the distance. Then she moved. She wrapped her headscarf tightly, strapped her baby to her back, left the twins with a trusted neighbor, and slipped into her car. She followed him. Ismail did not go to the airport. Sophia's hands shook on the steering wheel as she watched his car veer away from the main road, away from lights, away from people. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. "Please turn back," she begged silently. He didn't. Instead, he drove toward the old colonial cemetery on the outskirts of Mwanza, a place people avoided even in daylight. Sophia slowed her car, parking far back, heart hammering as she watched him step out. He didn't look around. He didn't hesitate. He walked straight into the graveyard. The air inside the cemetery was wrong. Even from where she stood, Sophia felt it. A pressure, thick and suffocating, like the night itself was holding its breath. She followed on foot, moving quietly between two marathons, her baby suddenly restless against her back. Then she saw them. Figures. Men. Standing in a half circle around Ismail. They looked human, but not fully. Their feet did not quite touch the ground. Their eyes reflected no light. And when they spoke, their mouths moved out of sync with their voices. Sophia clamped her hand over her mouth. Ismail stepped forward and knelt. He did not kneel like a man praying. He knelt like a servant reporting. "You promised," one of the figures said, voice layered, overlapping itself. "I kept my end," Ismail replied calmly. "You were buried. I returned. You were claimed. I multiplied." The ground beneath them trembled. Sophia felt it through her bones. Her baby began to cry. Soft at first, then louder. Every head turned, every face snapped in her direction. Ismail's eyes met hers through the darkness. And for the first time since she met him, there was no love in them. "Sophia," he called gently. Too gently. She ran. She didn't remember getting back to her car. She didn't remember driving. She only remembered screaming prayers she barely believed in anymore, clutching her baby as headlights cut through the night. When she reached the mansion, she locked every door, barricaded herself inside, shaking violently. Ismail returned before dawn. He did not knock. He walked through the door. "Why did you follow me?" he asked calmly, standing in the living room like nothing had happened. Sophia backed away, clutching the baby. "What are you?" she whispered. He sighed, the sigh of someone tired of pretending. "I died," he said simply, "and I refuse to stay dead." She shook her head violently. No, you're lying. I was buried in Anambra. My family mourned me. My grave is real." Her knees buckled. "And you?" she whispered. "What am I to you?" Ismail looked at her for a long moment. Then he answered. "A bridge." That was the night Sophia learned the truth. Ismail was not alive. He was not fully dead. He was a man who made a pact on the edge of death. A pact that allowed him to return, to prosper, to multiply. As long as he brought others with him. Women, children, bloodlines. The children were never meant to grow old. They were anchors. That was why the spirits vanished when babies cried. That was why the house went quiet after Dubai. The ritual had already begun. Sophia screamed. Back in Umuokpara, Nkiru woke up screaming from another dream. This time, Kini wasn't smiling. This time, his mouth was full of dirt. "Tell her to run," he begged. "They're running out of time." Sophia tried to flee the next morning. She packed only documents and clothes. She never made it past the gate. The twins fell sick that same day. Fever, seizures. Doctors found nothing wrong. Ismail watched calmly as Sophia broke down. "You can't leave," he told her softly. "Not anymore." The priest at the school was found dead 3 days later. Heart attack, they said. Sophia knew better. On the 7th night, the house filled with guests. Not human guests. The mirrors shattered. The walls bled shadows. The children cried in unison. Sophia held them, sobbing, as Ismail stood in the center of the room, eyes glowing faintly. "It's time," he said. That was when Sophia did the unthinkable. She ran to the balcony and jumped. They found her body the next morning, broken but breathing. Barely. The children survived. Ismail vanished. The mansion burned down mysteriously 2 nights later. No body was found. Years later, in Anambra State, a woman tending an old grave froze. The soil was disturbed, fresh, as if someone had just climbed out. Because some deaths don't end, they migrate, they multiply, and sometimes they come home. Sophia did not die. That was the first thing the doctors confirmed after 3 days in a coma. Her spine was fractured. Her ribs were crushed. One lung had collapsed. But somehow, against logic, against expectation, her heart kept beating. People called it luck. Others whispered it was something else. When she finally opened her eyes, the first thing she did was scream. Not because of pain, but because she remembered everything. Ismail was gone. Not missing. Gone. No phone, no accounts, no fingerprints, no record that he had ever existed in Tanzania. Even the mansion deeds carried no clear ownership trail. It was as if he had been erased. The twins recovered slowly. The first child, the eldest, never spoke again. Doctors said trauma. Sophia knew better. She fled Tanzania within weeks. She sold what little she could, abandoned what she couldn't, and returned to Nigeria, to the one place Ismail had lied about but could never erase. Anambra State, Umuokpara, the village that buried a man who never stayed buried. When Sophia arrived, people stared, not because she was a stranger, but because her face looked familiar. Too familiar. An old woman selling garden eggs dropped her tray. "My God," she whispered. "She looks like his wife." Sophia's heart sank. "Whose wife?" she asked. The woman pointed shakily toward the old Okoria compound. Kennechukwu's. Inside the compound, time had stood still. The walls were cracked. The mango trees still stood. And at the back of the house, the grave. Sophia walked toward it slowly, her legs trembling. The name on the headstone read, Kenechukwu Okorie. Beloved son, taken too soon. Her knees gave way. She had lived with a dead man, loved him, born his children. That night, the dreams returned. But this time, Sophia was not alone. And Kiru saw them too, two women from different worlds bound by the same dead man. In the dream, Keen stood between them, no longer handsome, no longer powerful. He was rotting. Pieces of him fell away as he spoke. "I wanted more life," he cried. "They gave me another one, but it wasn't mine." The next morning, the ground behind the compound split open. The grave collapsed. Villagers gathered, shouting, praying, panicking. Inside the broken grave, there was no coffin, only ashes, and a smell that made grown men vomit. That night, Sophia made a choice. She returned to the grave alone. She carried kerosene. She carried matches. And she carried the one thing Ismail never expected her to find. The pact seal, hidden in the lining of his old travel bag, written in symbols that burned the eyes when read. She set the grave on fire, not to destroy him, but to end the agreement. The wind rose violently, voices screamed from the ground. Shadows clawed upward, furious. Sophia stood her ground, tears streaming down her face. "You took my life," she shouted. "You will not take my children." The fire roared, then everything went silent. The next morning, Sophia's eldest child spoke. One word, free. Years later, Sophia lives quietly. Her children grow, slowly, carefully, human. But sometimes at night, when the wind passes through mango trees, people in Umwak Para swear they hear footsteps stopping just short of the compound gate, as if someone wants to come home, but no longer can. So my people, he died once, he came back wrong. And in the end, even death rejected him. If you believe some doors should never be reopened, drop a comment. If this story gave you chills, subscribe. Because not every dead man stays buried, but not everyone is allowed to return. Tell me, my people, was Sophia ever meant to survive? Did Ismail finally pay the price? Or is the dead man walking free, somewhere else again? Subscribe, because the dead are not done talking yet.